Ladies and gentlemen, damas y caballeros, we are back with another video, guys. And in today's episode, we're going to be do two in one Genesis chapter 12 and Genesis chapter 13 combined into one. Let's get it. So, the call of Abram. So, remember, Abram, his wife, I think his dad, and I think that his brother's son and his wife, brother's wife, his brother's son's wife. They traveled from Ur of the Cadians. Okay, their goal was to reach Bethel, but they went to Haran, which is Abram's brothers. Well, Abram's brothers. Um, Abram's brother's old land because he died, and they stopped there. Um, so now this is Abram's journey, right? So okay, so the call of Abram. So now the Lord said to Abram, quote, "Go from your country and your kindred," which is, a man who is one of a person's blood relative, right here, kinsman, or kindred. Kindred is just like family members. Um, so now go from your country and your family and your father's house to the land that I will show you, and I will make of you a great nation, and I will bless you and make your name great, so that you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and him who curses you I will curse, and by you all the families of the earth shall bless themselves. So obviously, God has a purpose for Abram, um, and Abram's a good man. Abram's a man who listens to God, respects God, obeys God, um, and the Lord has a specific purpose for Abram, and we'll see when we keep on reading what his goal is. But Abram's such a good and honorable, righteous man that, if you're wanting to do the Lord's work, He's only going to choose the best of the best, men that He knows He can count on that can get the job done. A righteous man. So He's saying, look, we need you. I need you to leave. Go from your country and your house and your father's house to a land that, because Abram doesn't even know where this land is at. Imagine it's like you watching this and you're at home and God just comes to you and is like, hey, you know what? You're at your house, you're nice and cozy. I need you to get up. I need you to leave your house. I need you to leave your home and your family. You're going to go to a land that I will show you. All right. So it's a little bit scary too, because it's like, I know my house, my land. I know where everything's at. Everything's got, my life is good. You know that saying, if it's not broken, don't fix it. So, but he's telling Abram, go to a land that I will show you. He doesn't know the land yet. He's going to make you a great nation, and I will bless you and make your name great, so that you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and him who curses you, I will curse you. So obviously, Abram's going to be doing some work for God. So he's going to be working on behalf of God, doing God's work. So anybody that's against him, who wants him to fail, is going against God. So he's going to curse them. And by you, all the families of the earth shall bless themselves. So Abram went as the Lord had told him, because who wouldn't, right? And Lot went with him, which is his brother's son, the brother who died, Haran. Abram was 75 years old when he departed from Haran. And Abram took Sarai his wife, and Lot his brother's son, and all the possessions which they had gathered, and the persons that they had gotten in Haran, and they set forth to go to the land of Canaan. So obviously, he's taken, um, it's him, his wife, his brother's son, and everything they had, all the possessions, and all the people too. Some could say it was slaves, but it wasn't slaves, because when you go down reading into it, it's more like workers that he had for him. People that would, because Abram's a very rich man, a very wealthy man that has many different things. And so he took all his cattle and his livestock, and he has people who tend and work for him because he has so much animals, goats, sheeps, donkeys, whatever you might think of, and he has people that can help him maintain it because it's so much, because his wealth is very vast. So he got everything that he had, and which they had gathered, and the person that they had gotten in Haran. That could be the people that help him take care of the animals. And they set forth to go to the land of Canaan. And when they had come to the land of Canaan, Abram passed through the land to the place at Shechem, to the oak of Morah. So it's this place called Shem. And he stopped at an oak tree. At that time, the Canaanites were in the land. Then the Lord appeared to Abram when he was near the tree and said, quote, to your descendants I will give this land. So to your to your future generations, I'm going to give them this land right here. So he built there an altar to the Lord, who had appeared to him. Hence he removed to the mountain on the east of Bethel and pitched his tent, with the Bethel on the west and Ai on the east. And there he built an altar to the Lord and called on the name of the Lord. And Abram journeyed on, still going toward the Negeb. The Negeb is Hebrew. It's a Hebrew root for dry land. So he kept on walking on his journey. So he stopped there. He was underneath the tree. In Shem. He was in Shem underneath an oak tree. The Lord came to him and appeared to him and said, to the descendants, I will give you this land. So he built an altar to the Lord before he left. And then he continued on the Negeb, which is a Hebrew root for dry land. Hebrew word for dry land. So Abram and Sarai in Egypt. So now there was a famine, and so they kept on going, and they went to Egypt. So now there was a famine in the land. So Abram went down to Egypt to sojourn, which is it's mean sojourn. It means a temporary stay. So he wasn't going to be there forever. The Lord just told him to just be there, real quick, and then we'll be back. So there was a famine in the land. So Abram went down to Egypt to sojourn there. For a famine was severe in the land. So Egypt was going through a very tough time. It was hard. People were struggling. People were dying of malnutrition. And obviously, we know in Egypt is known as, year-round. They're able to plant, harvest, all these amazing crops. Food is abundant. But at this time, it's a famine in the land. When he was about to enter Egypt, he said to Sarai, his wife, quote, I know you are a beautiful woman. I know that you are a woman beautiful to behold. And when the Egyptians see you, they will say, this is his wife. Then they will kill me, but they will let you live. Say you are my sister, that it may go well with me because of you, and that my life may be spared on your account. So he's going to Egypt, and he knows that the Egyptians will see his wife and see how beautiful she is. And the moment they know that's her husband, they're gonna just kill him and say, you don't have a husband now, so come with me, right? I'm gonna kill your husband. He's gone, and I'm gonna come to you and say, what other option do you have? You have no husband, and you're gonna be with me, who's rich and famous and can give you all these wonderful life. So yeah, you have to pick me. So, when Abram entered Egypt, the Egyptians saw that the woman was very beautiful, and when the princes of the Pharaoh saw her, they praised her to Pharaoh, and the woman was taken into Pharaoh's house like that. And for her sake, he dealt well with Abram. So obviously they went into Egypt, and boom, they're in Pharaoh's house the next day because of how beautiful she is and how word spreads. And you need to see this most beautiful, amazing woman. She's beyond beautiful. She needs to be for you because you're the best and she's the best. And he said, and she was taken into the Pharaoh's house, and for her sake he dealt well with Abram. So only because that was his brother, they were making it seem that he dealt well with Abram. So, and he had sheep, oxen, he asses, I think it's like donkeys, men servants, maid servants, she asses, donkey girls, and camels. Okay. But the Lord afflicted Pharaoh and his house with a great plague because of Sarai. So this makes sense. This to me, it's like, but the Lord afflicted Pharaoh and his house with great plagues because of Sarai, Abram's wife. So it was like, they went into Pharaoh's house, Abraham and his wife Sarai. They lied to the Pharaoh, saying, that's my sister. He gave him sheep, oxen, maid servants, male servants, donkeys, and camels, and everything. And he's like, okay, I gave this to you. It's sounding like he didn't even give him an option. He's just like, look, I'm gonna give this stuff to you because I'm gonna take your sister's hand and she's gonna be my wife. But the Lord saw that, and he afflicted Pharaoh and his house with a great plague because of Sarai, Abram's wife. So Pharaoh called Abram and said, quote, what is this you have done to me? Why did you not tell me that she was your wife? Why did you say she is my sister? So that I took her for my wife. So he's saying, look, you lied to me, bro. He's saying all this stuff's going bad because you told me that she was your sister and I took her for my wife. How come you didn't just say that from the very beginning? Because of that I took her for my wife. But obviously Abram would have been dead if they knew that that was his husband or her wife. They would have just killed him and got rid of him. Uh, and you know he was even, it's kind of even saying it like, so that I took her. Why did you say she's my sister? So that I took her for my wife. So he's kind of like saying too, like, are you doing this? Did you do this on purpose to me? You said that she was your sister, so I can take her as my wife, and God can do this to me. But now then, here is your wife. Take her and be gone. So he's like, you know what? I don't even care no more. It's on top of the famine. You're giving me plagues. I need to feed my people. I need to eat. I need to take care of my family. You know, his empire, whatever it is at the time. Uh, so they said, here's your wife, and take her and be gone. And Pharaoh gave men orders concerning him, and they set him on their way with his wife and all that he had. So all his animals, everything, he gave it back to him and said, just leave, leave. Okay, so that's chapter 12. So let's go to chapter 13. Let's continue on Abram's journey. Abram and Lot separate. So chapter 13. So Abram went up from Egypt, he and his wife, and all that he had, and Lot with him, into the Negeb. So then to get back to the dry land, or into the dry land. Now Abram was very rich in cattle, in silver, and in gold. So he had all his livestock, he had silver, he had gold on top of that. He was a very wealthy man, right? So now Abram was very rich in cattle, in silver, and in gold. And he journeyed on from the Negeb as far as Bethel, to the place where his tent has been at the beginning. So you can look at it right here. Look. Actually, I should have brought this sooner, but it's okay. Let me zoom in on here. Okay. So remember, whenever he first came down from Hanan, he built an altar to the Lord between Bethel and Ai. So right over here. So it says, and he journeyed on from the Negeb as far as Bethel. So right up here, to the place where his tent had been at the beginning, whenever the Lord came up to him for the first time after he left Haran, the land of Haran. Between Bethel and Ai, to the place where he had made an altar at the first, and there Abram called on the name of the Lord. So he was in there. He was back in the very beginning. He's like, okay, I went down to Egypt, like you said. Now I'm back, and he called to the Lord. He's like, okay, he's probably gonna ask him what's going on, you know. So between Bethel and Ai, to the place where he had made an altar at the first, and there Abram called on the name of the Lord. He's calling on the Lord. And Lot, who went with Abram, also had flocks and herds and tents, just like him. So Lot was also wealthy in the sense that he had flocks, herds, and tents as well. So that the land could not support both of them dwelling together. So they're in Bethel, or between Bethel and Ai. And it was starting to get to a point where it was getting so much, right? They have so much stuff, and they're getting in conflicts with with their possessions. And it says right here, for their possessions were so great. They had so much that they could not dwell together. And there was a strife between the herdsmen, which is the people who would be in charge of taking care of the animals, of Abram's cattle, and the herdsmen of Lot's cattle. At that time, the Canaanites and the Perizzites dwelt in the land. And then Abram said to Lot, quote, let there be no strife between me and you, and between your herdsmen and my herdsmen, for we are kinsmen, we are the same blood, right? It is not the whole land before you? Separate yourself from me. If you take the left hand, then I will go to the right. Or if you take the right hand, then I will go to the left. So he's saying, look, you know, there's no point of us having beef. You could say like a vast mini empire. I have a vast mini empire. I have so much of my possessions. You have so much of your possessions. Let's just separate. You know, we're bloodmen. We have the same blood. There's no need to fight. No need to quarrel. And that's Abram. Like when I read that, it shows to me that he's a very reasonable, honest, and a man who doesn't want to deal with any conflict. He wants everyone to be happy. And he's saying, look, you know what? We're blood. We're having conflicts. Our guys are having conflicts with each other. We don't need to have this. Let's separate into your land and I go into my land. And respectfully, we'll give each other space. Because if we keep going on where we're going, we're gonna lead into us having bad blood, and there's no need for that. And Lot lifted up his eyes, and he saw that the Jordan Valley was well watered, everything like the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt in the direction of Zorah. So over here, So they're over here, right? And after that speech that Abram told Lot, saying, "Look, you know what? Where do you want to go? Right, left, wherever you want. You choose." Abram's being so gracious and saying, "You know what? You can pick where you want to go, and I'll go to the opposite. And if you pick the other one, then I'll go to the other one." So he lifted up his eyes and saw that the Jordan Valley was well watered, everything like the garden of the Lord, like the Garden of Eden, like the land of Egypt, just like where they were in the direction of Zorah, which is over here. This was before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. So obviously there's that famous Sodom and Gomorrah fight, but this is way before that. So Lot chose for himself all the Jordan Valley, and Lot journeyed east, right over here. Thus they separated from each other. Abram dwelt in the land of Canaan, while Lot dwelt among the cities of the valley and moved his tent, so moved his belongings as far as Sodom. Now the men of Sodom were wicked, great sinners against the Lord. So he picked you could say like he picked a spot that was well watered, good for raising cattle, raising animals, planting, gardening, harvesting. It was very beautiful, but you know, but now he has to deal with the men of Sodom who were wicked and great sinners against the Lord. So he's kind of like pick your battle. But remember, Abram gave Lot the option, and Lot chose that. And the Lord said to Abram, after Lot had separated from him, so Lot left, Lot was gone, Lot went on his way, and he was still there, right, where it all first began in the altar. And the Lord said to Abram, quote, lift up your eyes and look from the place where you are, northward, southward, eastward, westward. For all the land which you see I will give to you and to your descendants forever. I will make your descendants as the dust of the earth, so that if one can count the dust of the earth, your descendants also can be counted. That's pretty crazy. Arise, walk through the length, and crazy in like in a good sense, like he's like the Lord is blessing him so much that he's gonna make like eventually when your descendants die, whoever, they're gonna become the dust of the earth. So if somebody can count the dust, they're gonna count your descendants still. Your descendants will always be in this land forever. Arise, walk through the length and the breadth of the land, for I will give it to you. So he's saying, okay, I'm giving you everything, north, east, south, west. I'm going to give it everything to your descendants forever. So arise, walk through the length and the breadth of the land, for I will give it to you. So he's saying, get up and walk. So Abram moved his tent, moved his belongings, and came and dwelt by the oaks of Mamre. Okay, so over here. So he dealt by the trees, the trees of the Mamre, which are at Hebron. And there he built an altar to the Lord. So the Lord said, you know what, stand up and go straight. And he landed at Mamre, Hebron, on the oaks of Mamre, which are at Hebron. And then he built an altar for the Lord. And so that is where Abram is staying. So he went from Haran, right? Remember, he went from, let's go back to this other map. He went from Haran. He got up, him, his wife, and Lot. Okay? They went all the way to Egypt. They did some stuff over there. They went back. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Let me restart. He started at Haran. He walked, and between Bethel and Ai, he stopped by the oak trees, built an altar. The Lord came to him and talked to him and said, go to Egypt. Keep going south. Keep going to the Negev, to the dry land. They went to Egypt. They had some time there. They went back to the place where they began, right here between Bethel and Ai. He said, Lot, you can choose where you go, and that's going to be your land. Lot chose his own land. Then the Lord came to him and said, keep walking. It says, and arise, walk through the length of the breadth of the land, for I will give it to you. Kept on walking, and he stopped at the oaks of Mamre at Hebron. And that's where Abram's journey is right now at the end of chapter 13. Yeah, pretty interesting. So I think God has something pretty big in store for Abram. So if you want to figure out what's next with Abram, check out for the next episode. But that's pretty much it. 12 and 13 combined into one. Hope you guys like it, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.